Kuwa mkono ambao unalima ardhi, mlango wa kulima, kuwa mshindi, kuwa na uhakika sasa, kulea mustakabali wa baadaye. Tufanye kazi pamoja na tukue pamoja, kuimarisha Kenya ni jukumu la Farm Kenya.
Well, hello there and welcome to Farm Kenya show right here on KTN Home and also KTN Farmers TV. Guess what? We're talking about nothing else but agriculture. And joining us is, of course, Marion.
Oh, yeah.
How are you?
Niko fiti manze, niko fiti, yeah? And I'm excited.
So,
but first, how was your Monday and Tuesday?
Monday and Tuesday was pretty good.
Yes.
But
Perfect.
I can't wait to get to what we are talking about today.
Abu tuambie.
Tunaongea juu ya mushroom farming.
Nakwambia nasikia tu mautamu. Bedhe ushai kula mushroom? Wallahi,
mara mingi. Yes.
I'm so glad, because in mushroom farming, there's a wide options when it comes to value addition. You can do cookies, you can do hot dogs. Asa useke ile hot dog, eka mushrooms hapo katikati.
Remember, today, get to learn something when it comes to mushroom farming.
Well said. And of course, in conversation, we always love your company. Remember, the hashtag is Farm Kenya Show, hashtag KTN Welcome Home. And please, to tag at KTN Home _ at Marion _ the agri producer, na Kelvin.
At Kelvin _ Nyakundi.
Perfect. But for now, let's see what is making headlines in agriculture.
Right, welcome to Agri News. Agriculture Principal Secretary Paul Rono has praised Kericho County's small-scale farmers for adopting vertical farming to boost production, aligning with the ministry's bottom-up transformation agenda. Now, speaking at the launch of Mama's Kitchen Garden at a water project in Kakibei Secondary School in Soin, Sigowet, Rono assured small-scale farmers of government support with fertilizers, seedlings, and borehole drilling for water.
That Kenya is growing in population and our population numbers is going higher. It is a threat to our farming areas, especially our farm, what we call the arable land, is getting depleted and smaller because of our population growth. And this new model of Mama Kitchen Garden will really assist us as a country and as a ministry to optimize on our resources, especially land, which is a limited resource.
Now, over 200 delegates gathered in Nairobi, Kenya to graft the post-Malabo agenda, a 10-year roadmap for Africa's agricultural development beyond 2025. Now, building on the Malabo's declaration success, this meeting aimed to address ongoing challenges and ensure food security for all Africans.
Productivity has not reached the level we would have wanted to reach. The food security situation in some countries is still a challenge. So we still have a lot of effort in terms of investment, in terms of technical support to our communities, particularly the smallholder farmers, to help them invest in agriculture, to boost their productivity, to improve their income, and generally to improve on their welfare. We'll call upon government to put more money, to more investment in the sector in terms of infrastructure, in terms of technical assistance, in terms of extension services for our farmers, so that they're able to boost their production and productivity.
These discussions will include key technical questions and guidelines provided by technical team that focus defined technical areas that include agri-food systems and economic transformation, production, trade and competitive, food safety and nutrition, technology, agricultural markets and agro-processing, agricultural finance, stakeholder engagement and inclusivity, climate change and resilience, implementation capacity and mutual accountability.
Now, the climate change crisis is a global problem that continues to force societies across the world to scratch heads and find solutions to the threats posed to food security. Now, as Dennis Aseto reports, youth and technology hold the key to addressing the challenges brought about by the changing weather patterns, building resilience against climate change.
The youth hold the solution towards addressing climate change through smart agriculture and intentional investments by the government. A visit to the Wuil farm in South Korea is a clear indicator how we can leverage technology to produce food. To address this worrying factor, South Korea has put in place initiatives that will see 30,000 youth initiated into farming through government incentives and funding, as explained by Mr. Seng Ho Choi, the foreign press spokesperson from the Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs.
But the Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs is now carrying out diverse policies to nurture 30,000 young farmers by 2027. We are carrying out, to make this possible, we're carrying out diverse policies to have young farmers reside in rural agricultural communities in a stable manner.
Choi says that the reducing populations in rural agriculture communities is worrying for the government, reason why the government is investing in agriculture being spearheaded by the youth.
We are supporting and to have stabilized incomes in the initial stages of residing in rural agricultural communities. And we're also supporting them to have farmland and funding, and in terms of residence, etc. In terms of income support, we are providing a financial support of the maximum of 1.1 million won per month for 3 years to the maximum.
And as the government invests in the youth, smart agriculture continues to be the way to go, with the growth of tomatoes at Wuil Farm and value addition of stevia being a focus for the government, as this has become a major boost to the country's K-food products.
In terms of that matter, stevia tomato is one of the parts that we are encouraging smart farm businesses to do and help improve the export of agricultural products. So in the first quarter of 2024 this year, the K-food products exports to other countries increased sharply. So it reached an all-time high.
The Korea-Africa Summit is slated for the 5th of June, and as African leaders will be making their way to the Asian nation, agriculture and food security remains an important topic of discussion, especially at a time that climate change continues to be a global concern. For KTN News, I'm Dennis Aseto.
Now, Kenya is looking to transition to 100% clean power generation by 2030. It is against this backdrop that the Green Resilient Electricity System program for Kenya has been launched in collaboration with the European Union. Now, the program launched during the IEA 9th Annual Global Conference on Energy Efficiency will include Europe and Kenya investing up to 36 billion Kenya shillings to finance the program, including the contribution of 2.8 billion shillings in grants provided by the European Union.
Today's launch marks another milestone in the long-standing and strong energy cooperation and partnership between European Union and Kenya. In this partnership, EU recognizes Kenya's leading role in driving the green energy transition, both in regional and global context. The Green Resilient Energy System program will support Kenya's goal of a complete transition to 100% renewable power generation by 2030.
We'll be working more closely with the European Union. There's some good funding coming in. And we get some very good concession funding under this Green Resilient Electricity Program to support us to do that last mile so that we can quickly go to 100%.
So we have been instrumental in bringing finance into green energy, like the Turkana wind power farm, Olkaria geothermal. And we stand at the government side for going 100% sustainable and green.
Now, over 1,000 families affected by floods in Zawadi Street, Eastleigh, Nairobi County, received aid worth approximately 4 million shillings from well-wishers. During the distribution, the general manager of Faras Cab urged organizations to assist the flood-affected families. This initiative was made possible through collaboration with community leaders, non-governmental organizations, and community centers.
And today they have donated food assistance for 1,000 households, which would help up to maybe 4,000 people, up to 5,000 people for 2 weeks. They have provided 5 kilos of maize meal, 5 kilos of sugar, 5 kilos of rice and flour, and 3 liters of oil, which would support this particular community throughout this difficult period where there are floods as well as demolitions along the river, the Nairobi River in Kamkunji.
Leo tumeanzisha mpangilio wa kuwezesha our customers kudonate Faras Miles kupitia our donation program. Kwa hivyo kama uko hapa, uko hapa wewe ni customer wa Faras, uko na Faras Miles, unaweza ingia pale kwa hub, udonate to the community, na hiyo pesa itaweza kusaidia watu wengine ambao wameaffectiwa na floods ama wako na magonjwa.
Now, once a polluted dumping site, Ondiri Wetland in Kenya is now a serene resting place and bird watching hub with clean water flowing into the Nairobi River. Now, David Wakogi led the charge, but even after celebrating Ondiri's success on World Wetlands Day in February, his plans for restorations don't stop here.
Look at those herons. No, these are not herons, those are hawks. And then all these are hawks, and then that's a heron flying back. They are going back to their nest. Some in Kikuyu, some I don't know where. Jason, ile nikala iko kwa mabati. In most parts of Africa, especially here in Kenya, many people see wetlands as wastelands that they have no value. But they forget that wetlands sequesters 30% of the atmospheric carbon. Ondiri wetland covers a circumference of 3.5 kilometers. It's the biggest highland bog we have in the Republic of Kenya. It is the source of the biggest river basin we have, which is the Athi River Basin. The wetland is a very important source of water for the residents here in this area. When we began this journey in 2016, this place, nobody really wanted to look at it. If you needed to be told about a place that was fully contaminated, you only needed to look at Ondiri wetland. I started by doing a lot of tree planting around our community, having groups that I worked with, especially youth groups and church groups, whereby we really planted a lot of trees. What we've done over time is that we have planted these bamboos. Their roots help in retaining soil and thus prevent soil erosion. So you see, this is how this river looks like here. When we began the work in 2016, it had dried up completely. You see, now it is completely clean.
He was talking of doing this work of trying to clean the Ondiri bog. Surely I thought it was impossible. Definitely it would be very difficult. I knew he didn't have maybe even the resources to do some little things that he was required to do. We also do medicinal plants. This is the Mudega tree, which is an important asset in Kikuyu community. This is what we used to drink with our soup. Those people who were harvesting fodder from here could burn the whole place during the dry season so that fresh vegetation could grow.
And what we did was to make sure that we stopped them because they tampered with the natural environment.
Other people had come here saying they will clean Ondiri, and then they just disappeared. I thought he was one of them. But thank God, today I stand here very proud of him because it has definitely changed.
The biggest challenge that I have faced has been getting to convince people about the importance of this wetland. And in awareness creation is whereby you convert people from polluters to conservers.
Me erore athiĩ ciaca-inĩ kana egũkĩrekereria gũkũ tondũ tũtingĩenda rĩu ningĩ arekererie gũkũ Ondiri kana atĩa tũngĩenda
ikare imenyereirwo ũguo nigetha ona andũ arĩa mathiĩte gũthomera ũhoro wa environment rĩ makorwo hena mũndũ ũrama guide makamenya ũrĩa mekũdeal na environment.
Hi. Bado. Today we are preparing for World Wetlands Day, national event which is happening here at Ondiri Wetland. I feel so honored because this is something that we have lobbied for many years and hoped that it would happen. And now history is being made in Kikuyu because this is the first national event that is happening here in Kikuyu, and therefore I'm very excited. This wetland extends from the east to the west. So on this side, the northern side, that is where we have Kikuyu town, which is less than 300 meters from here. And then on this side, we have a place called Ondiri. Ondiri, we call it the bread basket of Kikuyu because there is a lot of farming activities. This place is a bird watcher's paradise. It has 76 species of birds. Part of the request that we are making, that at least we have some bird watching towers.
Maybe they contribute as they enter to walk around?
Yes.
Or bird watching?
Yes.
But you need some income?
Yes.
Those are the discussions.
As a community organization, we couldn't be able to do enforcement. So we needed NEMA, we needed the county government, we needed other agencies.
We are blessing the tree to grow and be a serious conservation item.
This is also the source of water for a place that is called Kikuyu Springs. And Kikuyu Springs is the oldest source of piped water for the city of Nairobi, which was connected in 1906. So Ondiri continues to give water to Nairobi over 100 years.
We had for you on Agri News, but right now, let's go and listen to Sauti ya Mkulima.
Hello viewers, leo ni wakati mwingine tena tuko shambani na leo bado tuko Kabete. Tuko na mama shupavu hapa mkulima na anaenda kutuelezea kuhusu mbinu za kisasa na mbinu za kitambo zilikuwa zinatofautiana aje. Kwa hivyo mama, karibu sana na tunashukuru wewe kutukaribisha hapa.
Hizi borea tulikuwa tunanunua na hizi. Kuna hii borea ingine tunanunua ya ng'ombe, tunanunua bari, nayo imekuwa bei kali sana sababu ya vile Kenya iko sasa. Tuseme sasa hiyo ndio ugumu yenye imekuwa. Lakini kuna tofauti sana. Zamani kama ni fertilizer tulikuwa tunanunua na hizi. Kuna ingine unaweka haiendi hivyo.
Kwa hivyo ni malilio yako kwa serikali kwamba iangalie maslahi ya kulima.
Waangalie maslahi ya wakulima. Sababu hata hii fertilizer pengine tunapewa ni ngumu kuifikia.
Licha ya hiyo changamoto, ni unaona faida gani katika hali ya ukulima?
Ukifanya kazi lazima upate kitu kidogo. Huwezi kosa kitu. Kwa hivyo kuna faida sababu hata hii kazi ndio nimesomesha watoto, ninanilisha, kwa hivyo iko na faida. Isipokuwa ni vile sasa maisha imekuwa ngumu kutoka 2020.
Kwa sababu wewe kuna uzoefu katika ukulima, ni nini utaambia yule mwenye anaanza ukulima afanye ili asiweze kuanguka?
Mimi ile kitu naweza sema, kila kitu kina mpango. Ukianza kufanya kazi, panga shamba yako vizuri. Na ukipanga na kwanza ujitayarize, ujipee muda, lazima utapata kitu.
Jambo lako la kumalizia labda?
Kwa serikali ningeomba waangalie wakulima. Juu ni kama wakulima tumeachiriwa. Sana sana watu wa horticulture. Kama tumeachiriwa. Sababu ile kitu tunatumia lazima tuende kwa maduka. Kwa hiyo kwa maduka kama ni dawa iko bei kali sana. Tuangaliwe sana. Tena mikopo tupewe. Sisi hatujui kwenye tunaweza pata mikopo. Ndio tujiinue. Ndio nalilia serikali ituangalie.
Kuna wale vijana maybe wangetaka kufanya pia ukulima. Ungewaambia waanzie kutoka wapi?
Vijana ni waanze chini. Usikimbie ati upate pesa mingi. Anzia pale chini. Ukianza chini utaenda polepole na utainuka. Sababu hata hakuna kazi unaweza fanya ukose kitu.
That is all we had for you on Sauti ya Mkulima, but for now we need to go on a short commercial break. Remember, endelea kutuongelesha kwenye mtandao at KTN Home _ at Marion _ the agri producer and at Kelvin Nyakundi. See you after the break.
Mkono ambao unalima ardhi, mlango wa mkulima kuwa mshindi, kuwa na uhakika sasa, kukulea mustakabali wa baadaye. Tufanye kazi pamoja na tukue pamoja, kuimarisha Kenya ni jukumu la Farm Kenya. Kuwa mkono ambao unalima ardhi, mlango wa mkulima kuwa mshindi, kuwa na uhakika sasa, kukulea mustakabali wa baadaye. Tufanye kazi pamoja na tukue pamoja, kuimarisha Kenya ni jukumu la Farm Kenya.
All right, welcome back. Let us go to the field and see what the youth are really talking about when it comes to agriculture.
Hello and welcome to Youth in Agriculture. My name is Mariana Munyaunganga. Hey, manze niko excited. Kama dawa manake today I am with a very important person. I am with Promise the pig. Yes, and of course you've got it right. We will be talking about pig farming on this week and also next week. Manake tuliona maswali zenyu kwenye mtandao, and thank you so much for the feedback by the way. And you have a lot of information and queries that you want to know, you want to clarify. That is why we are here today in Ruai. Na tuko na ule mkulima wetu Sylvester Mwenda ambaye akona ile passion manzi. Passion si passion. If passion was a person, if passion was promise. On farming, on agribusiness, na tatuambia mengi zaidi. Karibu kwenye show na Sylvester. Wow, I mean, nguruwe.
Yes.
Now you mentioned about you doing agriculture in high school. Your part, your time, ulifanya anything to do with animal keeping, animal rearing, and if so, which animal was that?
Hapo siwezi sema nilifanya. Juu nilianza na kusema mimi nikiwa high school agriculture kwangu sikuwa naipenda juu ya vile iko. Na kwa high school nilifanya kama 2 subject. Juu ilikuwa pale na ilikuwa ni lazima ifanye kwa kipindi kifupi, but sikuifanya kwa mtihani wangu wa mwisho. Na even though nilikuwa napatana na wanyama, but wanyama kama hawa sikuwahi siku moja fikiria kama nitawahi jipata nikifanya ukulima wa wanyama kama hawa. Nimekuja tu ile katika kuendelea tu nikakuja nikaona kumbe ni wanyama wazuri, sio vile nilikuwa nawafikiria. Kumbe ni wanyama wako very social.
Wow.
Ni wanyama wenye unaweza kaa na wao, they are very disciplined. They are not like cows. In fact, pigs are the best disciplined animals kwa ile kikundi ya wanyama. Yes.
Nimependa hiyo pattern unasema you came to fall in love na pigs. Kwani hapo mbeleni mbona hauko unazipenda?
Unajua kuna ile norm ya nguruwe ni chafu. Nguruwe zinapenda uchafu. Zinapenda kulala kwa matope. Sasa juu ya ile kusikia na pengine na kuona pia nikapata tu nimeichukia. Bila sababu. Okay, na hiyo sababu. Kwa hiyo sababu ya kuwa ni chafu, ni mnyama mwenye anapenda uchafu. Sasa nikawa simpendi.
Yes. That's bad. Yeah. But right now uliona kuwa nguruwe yenyewe ni wasafi.
Nguruwe ni wasafi kabisa.
Ulijuaje ni wasafi? Kwani kuna shamba yenye maybe ulivisit ukaona na hizi nguruwe kumbe zinaweza kuwa safi?
Sio kuvisit, niko na wao hapa.
Wow.
Hiyo nimesoma hapa na ndio maana nakwambia ni wasafi. Juu nimeona na kuinteract kwangu na wao wako very social. Ni kama tu binadamu. Wanaelewa na si vile nilikuwa nawafikiria na hapo nyuma kidogo. Yes.
Twende kwa Promise the pig.
Yes.
Promise ni nguruwe wa kike. Manake tumeona watoto wake ambao amewazaa, si ndio? How many pig mothers do we have in this space?
6 mothers. 6 mothers, and here the Promise ndio mara yake ya kwanza.
Wow, congrats.
So ni mara yake ya kwanza, but wale wengine 5 ni mara yao ya 4 kwa saa hii.
Kuna sababu maalum ambao umeka Promise kwa cage, kwa pen rather ya kwanza? Kuna sababu manake ungemsukuma huko?
Sababu ya Promise kumweka kwa hii pen ni mgeni kwa farm. Na juu alikuja akapata hizo pen zingine zimekuwa occupied ama these are the farrowing pens. Kumaanisha nini? Tunaweka mothers wenye wako tumewaserve wenye serve tukingojea wa farrow. Yes.
Kusabu na kufaro tofauti ni nini? Inamaanisha nini?
Kufaro ni ku give birth. Kuserve ni kupea hiyo nguruwe ndume.
Naelewa bila shaka. So hii space ya hii housing number 1 ni safi. I didn't expect this. Why is it that hapo umeamua iko made of concrete? Na naona ni kama hapa kuna hizi ni slabs ama ni tiles? One of slabs, Why is the floor like this?
Number 1, the reason as to why the room is plastered ni ku avoid ile nguruwe inakulanga ukuta. Sasa unaona tume smooth, kuna smooth plastering. That's that meno yezi unaona ikiuma inateleza. Juu inapendanga sana kukula ukuta anything. That's why the room is plastered smooth. Na the reason as to why to make a slabs. Ukiangalia hii floor ni slanting. Why? In a slant to make sure that if hii nguruwe kwa mfano ama kuna maji imemwagika hapa ama kuna safishwa, ile maji haitalala, inafaa kwenda for the place to remain dry all the time.
All the time.
Yes.
Sasa tell me about this. What is happening here?
Hiyo sio drainage. Hiyo tunaitanga feed trap.
Feed trap.
Ama mwarati.
Nakwambia wase, hadi camera person anaitwa Cosmas anajua yenyewe. Ini feed trap. Thank you so much and a big shout out to you. Now, tell me about the dirisha. They are made of This is a wire mesh. Si ndio? Umuhimu wake ni nini?
One, kuwe na ile proper ventilation. Kuwe kuna sufficient air. Like the mothers when they are when after being served, wanatakanga ile fresh air.
Ni ukweli.
So kuna the room they are in haifai kuwa dark sana. Na haifai kuwa na nini sana. Haifai kuwa dark sana na si bright sana. So kunafaa kuwa na hiyo, na alafu ventilation unajua ni ku allow the fresh air. So juu ya hiyo fresh air na pia light. That's why unaona tumejenga from 4 feet from chini na tukaeka mesh.
Na mkaeka mesh.
Yes.
Lakini pia
number 2 pia inazuia like unapatanga nguruwe zingine zinaweza ruka on the other side. Hasa wakati ziko na they are on heat. So to prevent them from maybe jumping to the next room, unaona that's why tumetumia wire mesh. So yezi look on the other side. Yes.
Na naona pia ni kama you have coverings za wire mesh. Hizi za green zenye naona for now because it's daytime umepandisha juu. Why so on this side that I'm facing?
Not only this one, but kuna hii ingine pia. Hiyo ni ya kuzuia ku minimize the baridi. The cold ni kuzuia baridi. Hasa wakati wa baridi. So unaona sasa tume minimize ndio baridi isikuwe inapita tu. That's why tuko na hizo hema. Usiku tunateremsha, mchana when it's so hot tunapandisha, tunaroll.
What is the purpose of this really? This is very unique.
Yes. These chains they wanasaidianga for cannibalism. But ukitaka kusema nguruwe inauma ikinoa meno. So utapata many times inakula kidogo, inakuja inauma kidogo, inarudi tena hapo. Ni kama toothpick ya nguruwe.
Oh, yeah.
Toothpick ya nguruwe. Ndio uelewe in length, but zinatumikanga for cannibalism.
Let me get this right. Now, this house, ipenye tuko sahi, ni ile yenye nguruwe. When pig mothers, they give birth, wanaletwa hapa, si ndio?
Yes.
Now, they stay here for their children, for their piglets rather, for what duration? Wanakaa na watoto wao, piglets, for how long?
When we bring it here, after farrowing, inafaa kukaa na hao watoto for 2.5 months.
2.5 months.
2 months. That's like that's like 3 to 4 weeks.
3 to 4 weeks.
4 to 6 weeks.
Okay.
And then we take the mother back.
Okay.
Or rather, we transfer him.
We transfer him.
Yes, not him. We transfer her, tunampeleka kwa room nyingine. Si farrowing room again sasa. Ni to just a room yenye ina hii nyumba ya watoto. Hii ni area.
Crib,
Crib area. These are the cribs. Hawa watoto. So tunaacha watoto hapa.
Speaking of the cribs, tell me about the uniqueness in this house. Manake, naona ni kama it's a small space. I don't know what size it is. Utatuambia. Na pia iko na light inafanana infrared light. Zile za red. Yes. Tell me about it. Na inakaa ni kama unasikia poa. Hey manze, Netflix and chill.
So when kwa hii room, or rather in this crib area, unaona kuna hii light.
Naweza tuinulia kidogo tu.
Hii light ni inatumia infrared rays. Na ni ya kufanya nini? Inasaidia na joto. Kupea watoto joto. Unaona wakiwa kwa tumbo ya mamake, so unasikia kuna kuanga na joto. So when they come out wanasikia ile baridi. So ndio wasikue na ile baridi tunawawekeanga hita. Ya ikue room ku maintain the room temperature. Sasa ndio maana unaona wakimaliza kunyonya wanakuja wanalala hapa ndani. Na sababu ni nini? Wakiwa wadogo wanapatangwa na pneumonia.
Oh,
juu ya baridi. pia hii inasaidia ku camp such a problem. Another sababu ya hii crippling ni wakati wameanza, tunataka after 7 days tunaintroduce chakula kidogo kidogo. Sasa tunawawekea hapa ndani, hatuwezi waekea pale juu mamake atakula, so tunawawekea kidogo hapa, wanauma kidogo kidogo. So inasaidia hivyo. Kitu kingine pia inasaidia wakati mamake amemaliza kuwanyonyesha ndio asiwalalie. So wanajificha
hapo ndani. Yes. Na kuna sababu maalum ambao of course mamake vile amelala, unaona tu ni kama tu anawachunga. Is there any reason behind that? Jo angekuja tu alale hapa. Ama mama ni mama.
Like you have said, mama ni mama. Na ndio maana ukishika mtoto mmoja atakuwa violent. Anaweza kukuuma. Andili waachiliwe mtoto na atakufukuza andili waachilie mtoto. That's why unaona haezi lala huko mpaka alale hapa kwa mlango. Akizuia watoto mwenye maybe anakuja maybe kudafia na wao. Yaani anawachunga tu.
Sylvester, umesema motherly love, yes. Umesema kuhusu pneumonia. Yes. Mtu akiweka, mkulima akiweka sawdust kwa slabs, hiyo itasaidia ama hiyo itaribu zaidi? Manake kuna vile sawdust inaweza leta joto.
Sawdust ni nzuri pia.
Okay.
Itasaidia. But unaona kwa mfano wameikojolea. You need to kuitoa replace na new one. Ama na ingine yenye sio wet. Tulianza kusema the room should be dry all the time. So wakikojolea hawa watoto juu bado hawajajua na wana learn from their mothers. Mamake akikojoa hapa leo utapata na wao wanakojoa hapa. Mamake kama anaenda kukojoa nje, they will definitely go out.
What?
Hawezi kojoa hapa, wataenda tu mahali mamake anaendanga. So ndio unapata so kama mamake akojoa hapa, they cannot kojoa hapo. Ama urinate ama piss there. Ndio. So unaweza weka sawdust. But sawdust utaifagia. Ukiweka sawdust, kwa mfano ukiweka sawdust huko ndani. Nilikuwa nimeweka sawdust before.
What happened?
Introduce food. But sasa hivi nataka kwa introduce na chakula. Nimetoa ile sawdust. Ndio niwawekee chakula pale. Na juu tuko na hii bado the room is bado iko na joto.
Mkulima pia anaweza tumia jiko kuleta hiyo joto.
Jiko ya makaa.
Jiko ya
Utaiweka wapi?
Okay, si jiko ya makaa. Kuna zile jiko kama zenye zinaekangwa kwa incubator ya kuku.
Bora tu iko mahali yenye inaleta joto. Okay. You can as well use it. You can use the available resource to meet the need. Kama ni joto, the available resource unaweza pata ya kuleta joto. Yeah. You can as well use it.
Now, amazing. Tumeongelelea kuhusu nyumba, tumemaliza. Of course, the roof, I've seen you've done. Ini mabati tu ya kawaida. Yes. Si ndio? Kuna any good reason ama tu cost pia inachangia? Ya kufanya mabati kama roof.
Ya kufanya mabati kama roof. You can roof with anything.
Okay.
You can also take your pig under the shade ya mti tu.
Really? Na watoto wake?
Under the shade. But the disadvantage ni kwamba unajua unafaa mahali iko haifai kuwa inanyeshewa. So kama kwa under the shade inanyeshewa, jua your pig iko na high probability ya kupatwa na ugonjwa. So to avoid all those kind of things, unaweka roof. Roof ni mzuri. Nasema roof ni mzuri tu. Unaona sasa hata kukinyesha mvua gani, you will be okay with your pig. Utajua your pig is safe, haiwezi nyeshewa. So I prefer kufanya roofing ya mabati. Juu unaona haita leak. When you compare it na ukiwa umeroof na makaratasi zita wear out. Unaona? Nasi inaweza leak maji. Unaona? But I think roofing ya mabati is though costly, but
it's the best. Now, let's talk about breeding and inbreeding. Hii kwanza ni breed gani ya nguruwe?
These are Duroc.
Okay. Yeah. Kuna sababu maalum ambayo umeamua kufanya Duloc?
Duloc, okay. Ni tuko na breed mbili hapa.
Huyu amekula jamani.
So we wanted maybe to introduce a new breed. Now that's why tumeleta a different breed.
Okay.
Ya Duloc. The rest are not Dulocs. They ni breed ingine tofauti.
Gani hiyo?
Zenye ziko in other pens. The other 5 they are not seed Dulocs.
Ni gani?
Ni Landrace. So this is the only Duloc. Now we brought it when it's already served.
Okay, good, amazing. Talk about inbreeding. How do you ensure that yenyewe they are not serving each other? Yeah, yani baba na mtoto wapatani.
What we normally do, tuna fence. We do make sure that where the boy is, the mtoto haezi get access. By doing what? By ensuring tumemwekea the strong the strong shield yenye haezi pita. That's number 1.
Okay.
Number 2, in breeding. That's number 1. Na to make sure the male pig haiezi meet the kike. Or rather the sister.
The sister.
They are in one pen. So we castrate the male.
Yeah.
Akiwa 21 days. It's when we do castration. Hawa bado hawajafikisha 21 days.
Bado hawajafikisha.
It's when we do castration. To make sure hawezi inbreed. Na tuna make sure mtoto haezi enda kwa bo juu tumemwekea strong ili haezi get access.
By any chance, do you name the pens?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, kama for example unajua huyu nimemtoa hapa, hafai kuenda hapo kwa hii cage nyingine manake hapa atapata mzazi wake, si ndio? Okay, that's
like
good. Now,
we have, this is A. So we have A1, A2, A3 to A9.
Okay.
This is the B. So we have the B1 to B9. We have the C, the C1 to C9. So nikimtoa A1, maybe nimempeleka kwa A2, nitakuwa na in my record nitakuwa najua promise nimemhamisha A1, nimempeleka. Na wenye nimeacha A1, the winners. Ndio nimeacha A1. So nitakuwa najua A1 winners ni wa promise. Unaget? So that's how we number the pens.
Wow, asante sana Sylvester for that information, and I hope wewe mwenyewe umelearn kitu. Na Promise yuko hapa, Promise amerelax na amekula wase hapa tu ni harufu ya pesa. Sasa next week tuongelea kuhusu feeds and of course zile magonjwa zote ambazo yamekusumbua ya nguruwe. Sylvester ataweza kutuambia how ameweza ku overcome them. Tuonane next week.
All right, that is what the youth are doing on the field. And of course, Marion,
yes,
ulikuwa uko na the youth. You got to walk with them, see what they're doing. What did you get to learn?
Resilience. I learned that you there at home, if you want to do farming or agribusiness, you need to have resilience. And before mtu ajue ati utatoa wapi skuma seeds, utatoa wapi any fertilizer, any farm input, you have to know who is your market, where is your market. Ndio isikuwe ati you have very good produce, very good products for the animals, and yet you have nowhere to sell them. Manze utachomeka. Kelvin, unaonaje hiyo story?
That is very true from what Marion has said. And of course, remember, follow us and tweet us. Just tell us what you'd like us to focus on the show. Right now, we're going for a short break, but we'll be back with more.
Unalima ardhi, mlango wa kulima, kuamsha pamoja na tukue pamoja. Kuimarisha Kenya ni jukumu la Farm Kenya. Kuwa mkono ambao unalima ardhi, mlango wa mkulima, kuwa mshindi, kuwa na uhakika sasa, kukulea mustakabali wa baadaye. Tufanye kazi pamoja na tukue pamoja. Kuimarisha Kenya ni jukumu la Farm Kenya.
Right. Hello there. Welcome back to Farm Kenya. Today we are talking about mushroom farming. And with us is Maurice Ikonya, who is a mushroom farmer, and he's just come here today to give us a little bit of insights when it comes to mushroom farming. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so the ins and outs of mushroom farming.
All right.
First of all, let us start with the basics.
Okay.
Mushroom farming, what does a farmer need to do if someone wants to start mushroom farming?
All right.
What do they have to do, the ins and outs?
Thank you so much for that question. It's something we've been doing quite recently, training a lot of farmers. So that, to answer your question, you need training. First of all, you need to train on how to grow them, where to source raw materials, and the type of mushrooms to grow. There are over 100 types of edible mushrooms, so you need to know which one is good. And it would depend on the market that you want to target. There are the common mushrooms, they're the easiest to grow, and then there are the exotic ones that would need a little bit of technical and also some sophisticated grow rooms. Yes.
All right. So let's look at mushroom that is that farmers can be able to sell in the market.
Oh, okay.
First of all, what types are they? Because we've seen the button ones.
Yes, there's the button.
The button white ones.
Yes.
And then just give us
yes.
some
So there's
examples.
button, there's button and oyster. Those are the common ones in the market. But then in button, there are categories. You have the brown button, which is called cremini, and you also have portobello. So those are the same family with button mushrooms. Then we have the oyster mushrooms, we have shiitake, we have ganodama, which is a medicinal mushroom. We have cordyceps, also medicinal, and others such as lion's mane, also medicinal. So the ones a person can start with easily are the oyster mushrooms.
Okay.
Yes, followed by the button mushrooms.
Okay.
Yes.
And now, when you look at the land that you can prepare for you to grow your mushrooms, what goes into preparation of everything from the onset?
Okay.
Like, if you want to plant your mushrooms there, what goes into that?
Very good. So the reason why we thought of doing mushrooms is because you don't need land, or rather you don't need a big land to do that.
Okay.
They are called the smart crops because first of all, climate, you control your own climate. It doesn't depend on the natural weather. Maybe it's raining or it's sunny. Also, you just need a grow house for you to grow. Then the raw materials, you need agricultural waste like the wheat straws. You need rice straws, maybe maize stalks, maize tovers, maize cobs, bean stalks. All those once you've harvested, or you know of a farm that have just done harvesting their crop, you can use that as a substrate to grow your mushrooms. Especially the oyster variety, it's quite easy to grow. You only need to pasteurize your substrate, and then you spawn. By spawning, you add the seed. And then you incubate for about 28 to 31 days, and you start harvesting your mushrooms.
Okay.
Yes.
So, before we get to the harvesting part,
all right.
Now there's this other part of the way you've mentioned, you put the seed.
Yes.
And then, so how is the whole process? Do we, what goes into that by the time you get to harvesting? And how do you even know that the mushroom is ready
for
harvesting?
Good. So, your first question is what do you need to grow?
Yes.
So the technicality of growing mushrooms, you need a skill. You need that skill to do that. So in agriculture, people thought that agriculture is for the unlearned, people who did not go to school. But for mushrooms, it proves you wrong, because you need to know exactly what you're doing. So for oyster per se, I'll start with oyster mushrooms. You need to source your spawn. And we make the spawn here in the country, and then you get your substrate. Once you get your substrate, you soak it you soak it in coast calcium or something we call calcium hydroxide. Once you soak it for about 30 to 40 minutes, you drain the water and then you start bagging. After bagging, we use bags. That's why I said you don't need land. You use bags, you put your substrate inside, and then you steam in a drum of water. You steam for 2 hours, and the reason why we are steaming is to kill any pathogen that might harm the mushrooms. Mushrooms are quite sensitive and delicate, so they don't need any contamination. So you need to be quite hygienic when you're producing mushrooms. So once you pasteurize the mushrooms, after 2 hours of steaming, you let them cool overnight. Once it cools, now you come with your spawn or the seed and inoculate at a process we call inoculating. So you introduce the seed with the pasteurized substrate.
Okay.
Then after you do that, and again, you need to be hygienic. You watch everything that you're doing. You need to clean all your materials, everything. If you're using any polythene, you need to be sprayed with methylated spirit. You need to have gloves so that you don't bring any contamination into the seed or the substrate. And then after that, now the seed will start colonizing the substrate. You have made food for the mushrooms, so it will start traveling in that bag, colonizing the substrate, and it will turn from brown to white. So as your question, how do you know it's ready to harvest? So the whole bag will turn to white, and then you start getting some primordia, some pinheads that are swelling in the bag, and then you either open the bag from the front or you make some cuts on the sides, and then the mushrooms you just pin from there.
Okay.
There are two conditions where you need to check on. During incubation, mushrooms need a little bit of a hot temperatures between 26 to 28 degrees for them to colonize a little bit faster. And then while fruiting, they need below 20 degrees Celsius, between 16 to 18 for them to fruit very well. And then relative humidity, they need a lot of humidity. So you need to introduce all those conditions in your grow house. So there's some technical things that you would need if you can do with just a knapsack, because a knapsack you would do maybe 3 or 4 times a day. You in the morning you go there and you spray water, and you don't spray directly to the mushrooms because again that would make the substrate rot. So you just mist and make the room a little bit foggy.
Okay.
There are people who have gone a little bit more technical, and they've introduced machines in their grow house, and you have machines who are doing foggers, and you even have humidifiers. So it is a technical process, but again it can be simplified. Yes.
Right. Very insightful.
Yes, indeed.
And very, very, very well packaged.
Thank you.
These mushrooms that grow on the side of the road, on the back of trees.
All right.
So what usually happens? Because the way you're explaining, so I'm wondering, okay, so the ones that grow on the side of the road, what usually happens? What process do they go through in order for them to grow like that?
They grow through a similar process, only that now you find that place is quite humus. It's quite rich, it has not been cultivated, there are no chemicals used there, and mycelia is everywhere, on the roadside, on the farms, everywhere. It's among the oldest and longest living organism. Mycelia is a living organism, it's fungi. So it's available anywhere. So especially in the villages or up country, when it rains and then the rain subsides and there's a lot of humus everywhere, dry matter, then mycelia is able to colonize that. And when it's during the cold season, maybe the beginning of the cold season, June, July, you might find a lot of them just popping up and mushrooming on the roadside.
Okay.
But then for that, some are poisonous and some are not, some are edible. In fact, people from upcountry, they've grown Western Nyanza, South Nyanza, they've grown eating mushrooms. But then when they come here, they find that the types of mushrooms we are consuming, for them they thought they were poisonous, but only they resemble those ones. So you find that here, maybe in Nairobi, there's no mushrooms growing on the roadside because we've used a lot of chemicals. There's cultivation that has been done, so the ground has been disturbed, and there's not much humus for the mushrooms to grow.
Okay.
So then again, and when you're doing mushrooms as a business, you're doing it commercially to earn a living. So you need to replicate all those conditions, and you can have mushrooms throughout. Because you find the ones on the roadside, they would grow maybe for 3-4 days, and then when you come on the 5th day, there's nothing. They are all depleted.
Okay.
It's the same thing that would happen if you would just neglect your mushrooms.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you for that. Now, let's move on.
Yes, please.
You explained how they grow and how you can know it's ready for harvesting.
Yes.
So now let's get to the harvesting.
Okay.
How does someone even harvest mushrooms? Are there mechanisms of how you need to remove the piece from where it was growing, from the substrate, where it was growing, and how do you package them?
Okay.
Yes.
So for harvesting mushrooms, the way you know they're ready, if you're growing button mushrooms, they form the button, the head, the white head, and then it pops from the soil. When it grows bigger, we are using the old coin, the old 5 shilling coin.
Okay.
When they get to that size, the cup gets to that size, you know it's ready to harvest. So you just twist it, you're using clean hands again, it's still watching your hygiene. And that's why when we are selling mushrooms, we are very confident because we know what we are selling to the consumers is something that is hygienic and clean. So you need to have clean hands so that you don't identify the mushrooms. So just handle the pin, the cup, you twist it, it disembarks from the stalk. And then you cut any soil that could be there, and then you wipe any dirt on top, and you package in a punnet. Normally we package in 250 grams punnet. Punnet is just a normal pack, but you find the normal ones being used in the country are blue in color. So you package in that 250 grams, and then you wrap in a cling film. So that's for button. For oyster, it goes a little bit different because you don't use any soil in oyster mushrooms, or rather here in the country, we don't use any soil. So after it grows, and then you see the size of the cup is like the size of your palm. Then you know it's ready to harvest.
Okay.
If you leave it even for the button mushrooms, if you leave it maybe 2 or 3 days longer, the button mushrooms would open up and start now releasing spores, and that wouldn't be good for the shelf life. It has very little shelf life. And then for the oysters, if you leave them for too long, the edges would start becoming brown, and then they start curling down and removing spores, and that's, again, you can't keep that in the shelf for too long. So when the size is like the size of your palm, you just twist the whole thing. Mushrooms, oyster mushrooms grow like a bouquet. They grow together in a cluster. So for that one, you just harvest everything, and then you go and chop them, remove the stalk, and again weigh in a 250 punnet, wrap with a cling film, and it's ready for the market.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So let's look at the seasons that we have in a year.
Yes.
Is there a way, okay, first of all, do they survive through every season?
Yes.
And if they don't, if someone wants to grow on the season that they don't survive, what can they do? Can they create their own way and make maybe and say, okay, in the incubation place, you're making sure that the temperature is almost as it would be in a different season. So just give us a perspective on that.
I started saying that it's a smart crop. And you can grow this one throughout the year without depending on the climate, whether it's rainy or sunny. But then again, there are seasons where when it's too dry and maybe it's too hot, and if you've constructed your house using materials that will bring in temperatures inside, or rather to bring heat inside, then it might affect the growth of your mushrooms. So what you do, you insulate your grow house. You insulate completely, and then you are the one to control now the conditions. So yes, you can grow even the times when there are no mushrooms in the market. But during the colder months, June, July, from May, June, July, there's a lot of mushrooms in the market. Because even a beginner, once you inoculate or you introduce a spawn in the substrate, the conditions are ripe for mushrooms to grow. And in those 3 months, we have a lot of mushrooms in the market, which also affects the pricing. Yes.
All right. So how long does it take for since the planting until the harvest? How long is that?
So for button mushrooms, it takes about 2 months. The first month is preparation, and then you pasteurize your substrate at the end of the month, and that is introducing, you pasteurize and then introduce the spawn, and then you go into incubation for about another month. So 2 months for button, and then for oyster is a month. You just prepare in about 4 days, you inoculate, and then after a month, you're ready to harvest.
Okay.
Yes, and then for both of them, you can harvest for about 2 to 3 months, and then you start all the process all over again. Yes.
Okay, so let's move to the market now.
Yes, please.
And look at of course, dealing with different types of demographics, especially when it comes to the market.
Yes.
How is the mushroom market performing in Kenya as of now?
Interesting, quite good. I run a company by the name Mycelian Foods Limited, and we are in the production and distribution of mushrooms. We supply to the major supermarkets, and you find that we thought well, it's fairly new in the market. A lot of people know about mushrooms and they know the benefits of them. So it's a high demand. And then again, Kenya being a hub in the African continent, you have a lot of expatriates from the Western world.
Yes.
So they know the benefits of mushrooms. They've grown eating mushrooms. So there's a lot of demand here in the country, so much so that other companies are importing from other countries, as far as China, here closer home in Rwanda, and they bring the mushrooms in the country. You have others which are canned mushrooms and others are dried. So there's a huge market in the country. Research has shown that a survey was done by NAFIS and showed that the demand is about 1,200 tons annually, on production being about 500, leaving about 700 tons untapped. But that's where the demand comes in. Yes.
All right. So the statistics that you're giving, of course, that is huge.
Yes,
that
it is
huge, because at the end of the day, if tons,
yes,
that is very huge,
yes,
especially for mushrooms.
Yes, it is.
Yes. So let's also look at how to improve the market.
Okay.
When it comes to what needs to be done, especially in terms of transportation, and if we export,
yes,
what quality do we usually export?
All right.
Yes.
We've not gotten to exporting as of now, and the main reason is because of cost of production. Here in Kenya, everything is quite expensive, and the cost of production for mushrooms has been on the rise, while the price of it remained the same. So a punnet of mushroom you'll find going in the market between 250 to 300 per punnet, but the cost of producing that could be closer to maybe 150. So the costs are going up every now and then. So the first thing we need to do is work on the cost of production. And recently, together with a few colleagues of mine, we did another research to find whether we can have alternative substrates that we can use, because we are depending so much on the wheat straw. And you find that during the dry season, when there's not much fodder for livestock, they would tend to use the wheat straw as well to feed their livestock. So you find that there's a competition between the livestock keepers and the mushroom growers. So you find that the cost would go even higher than usually is. So the first thing we did is to check whether we can have any other substrate. And we found that sugarcane bagasse, or the residue that is left while producing sugar, can be used to grow mushrooms. And it's available from the factories. You can get it cheaply at around maybe 1 shilling per kg, as compared to about 18 or 20 shillings per kg of wheat straw. So that is a huge difference when it comes now to production. The other thing, when it comes to transporting your mushrooms, you need to harvest very early in the morning. Maybe between, you need to, me or yes?
It's okay. It's fine.
Okay. You need to harvest them early in the morning, when the sun has not come out yet, because you need them when they are still fresh. And if you expose them to sun, to the sun, they start scorching and they start turning their color. So you need to transport them very, very early, or have a vehicle that has a chiller or a refrigerated trucks for you to transport to the market. Yes.
Right. Thank you for that.
Most welcome.
Let's look at food waste.
Yes.
And of course, food security, and as you mentioned earlier, when it comes to handling mushrooms, you need to be very, very, very careful.
Very careful.
Yes. So in terms of cleanliness in the market,
yes,
because of course mushrooms, we've seen them in supermarkets, and of course organic shops. So when it comes to how they are handled outside the farm, when being transported,
yes,
what amount do we have the ones that go to waste?
Yes.
And can they be value added upon?
Quite an interesting question, because as Mycelia and Foods Limited, we have started value addition for mushrooms.
Yes.
And the reason why we've done that is because our farmers, we contract farmers to do that. At the moment, we have 123 in 15 counties. So you find that after they harvest, there are some that would be rejected by the supermarkets. Maybe the grade isn't so good, or some have a little bit of dirt, and the market does not want that. So you find that we were losing up to 40–45% of the harvest. So to change that, or to mitigate that loss, we started drying the mushrooms and selling them as dry mushrooms. We also mill the dry mushrooms into mushroom powder, which can be used in different meals. And then we, such as mushroom cookies. That's the other product we've brought into the market, whereby we use 15% of the mushroom powder together with the wheat flour to do mushroom cookies. So now changing or mitigating the loss that a farmer could have gone of about 40–45%, and we can sell that and it is still edible. And for the dry mushrooms, they have a shelf life of about 2 years, so you can store them for longer as compared to the fresh mushrooms, which has a shelf life of about 10 days. Yes.
All right, Maurice,
Yes.
thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thank you for having me.
And I've picked something,
Oh.
mushroom cookies.
Yes.
I think you should have done something for us.
Next time I'll come with a few.
All right, thank you so much for engaging us in this conversation. All right, we've come to the end of this particular conversation. We were talking about mushroom farming, and I believe you've learnt a lot. Remember, also, you can value add on mushrooms, as he has explained. All right, my name is Kelvin Nyakundi. See you next time right here on Farm Kenya Show.
I hope you've learned a lot like I have from our conversation with Maurice Ikonyo. And by the way, you can tell us on our social media platforms and also on the numbers on the screen that you see there. It's free, by the way. Hautakatwa kitu. Kelvin, na ukala nini leo kwa hiyo conversation?
So kwa hiyo conversation, by then, learn vitu mob. Lakini one thing I picked is that you need to value add on the products, the produce. Usiache produce iende waste kama una kitu ya kufanya. So I learned you can make mushroom cookies, you can make powder out of the mushrooms, and also you can use it for different kinds of other different kinds of things that you would want to make outside that. So hiyo ndio kitu nimeget to learn today.
Perfect. Mi nimelansi mushroom zote ati ni poisonous, and by the way, they're a good source of proteins. And this conversation, it is not ending here. Please keep tweeting us and keep SMSing us, engaging us across all social media platforms that you're seeing there below your screen. But unfortunately, manze, inabidi tuende manze. Time imeisha. And thank you so much for your company. I've been your host, Marion Munyao and Kelvin.
And I've been your host, Kelvin Nyakundi. Remember to continue contributing to this kind of conversation. We'll be here next time just to discuss more about agriculture.
Manze, tuende tukule mushroom, sindio?
Tuende tukule? Unataka tuende?
Kuwa mkono ambao unalima ardhi, mlango wa mkulima, kuwa mshindi, kuwa na uhakika sasa, kuulea mustakabali wa baadaye. Tufanye kazi pamoja na tukue pamoja, kuimarisha Kenya ni jukumu la Farm Kenya. Kuwa mkono ambao